Welcome to Outlaw Window Cleaner Radio Show. My name's Tim Huber, and this is my co-host Ron Hughes. We are guest-free tonight. Tonight. Last recorded episode, too, hopefully. I think we're going to try to go live after this one, yeah?
Yeah.
So.
Back from vacation, should be nice and tan.
Actually, when you guys are watching this, Ron will be on vacation. So I'm going to do a little contest, start this out while I got everybody's attention on here. So the contest, and I'm going to go back over it in probably about 15 minutes, but the contest is just a free Outlaw Window Cleaner T-Shirt. And the only thing you got to do is hit that X, get out of the live chat, hit a like on the thumbs up, and say, Ron, have a great time at the beach down in the comments. And next week when we go live, then we'll pick the winner from all the comments in the regular comment section. How's that? Cool?
Not bad, but to have a good time at the beach, I'm going with my wife. I mean, we've been married for 35 years. So.
Yeah, the big house, just the two of you. You guys can play hide and go seek the whole time.
Probably.
So where are you heading?
Outer Banks.
Outer Banks again. So we were just talking beforehand about you driving down there going to 64, but Virginia has got to be the longest state besides North Carolina to drive in.
Yeah.
It feels like, because you got to go to that west-east thing. And then all the way, do you go through Virginia Beach and go down, or do you go another way?
We go around.
Down, south of Richmond, or what?
I think that's, 464 that goes around everything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Then we pick
I always
back
go to
up
Virginia
64.
Beach. I don't have the money for Outer Banks.
Yeah, we try to stay away from that. Anywhere I do like 80, 90 miles an hour, that's the way we go.
I know, Leon, we were going to try to get away. And I was looking at plane tickets. Man, I'm talking 3 times the normal rate right now.
Right.
It is absolutely crazy.
Well, that's why we drove down to Florida. I mean, when we first checked on airline tickets, they was, I'd say, under $800 for 2 people.
Yeah.
And then when we went to actually book, it jumped up to almost $2,000.
Well, I mean, we've been going down since, 2017. I go down 2-3 times a year. Leah goes down 5 times. We're down there for under $400 every time. You know what I mean? So $200 a ticket, maximum $250. Man, it's $600-700 a ticket right now.
Well, not only that, but we went down on spring break, so everything was just, I mean, a normal hotel room that we'd get for $150 a night was going for probably $350, $400.
Spring break, though.
I mean,
that was probably bad for the travel agent on that one. You probably shouldn't have picked spring break.
Well, I mean, how do you see?
I can't even.
Never mind.
See, that's how you get in trouble.
Right.
Yeah. Now, this will be the episode your wife watches that.
Exactly. There's a lot of things to look at on that vacation, but yeah.
So we just got done with our first full week. I know you just got done. Was this your first full week, or was it?
Well, what's interesting about the start of our season is a lot of my customers, they also have us do power wash, house wash, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we haven't, I mean, we did some big houses window cleaning wise, but right now we're still playing catch up with the power washing.
Nah, I don't do that.
Then I'd say right after our vacation, we're just slammed with windows.
So this week was our first full week. And it was like there wasn't an easy house. Not one.
Yeah.
Not one. It was all just, everything had their own issue. I mean, from the beginning of the week to then when we got Thursday, Friday, we had like 17 condos or something like that. So it was all the same thing for 2 days, except we had 3 different condos, 3 different styles in the other 14. It was ridiculous.
Well, I'd say our third house of the season was all triple tracks, cut ups. I mean, it was like, why would I start the season off like that? But it was a huge house, but still.
So this year, I kind of I went over it in the group a little bit, but it's about reviews for me this year because my Google rating's so far down compared to what it should be because I was focused for 6 years on Angie's List. So I went from 3,500 A-rated reviews on Angie's List to where I wasn't focused on the Google. So I'm only getting bad reviews and stuff on Google. You know what I mean? Because I'm not focused on it. I got 3,500 over here, A's, with Angie's List that no longer count because I'm not paying them monthly. They just disappear into thin air.
See, I'm probably behind the 8 ball on that because I usually don't even worry about stuff like that because we work a lot on word of mouth. And
I do too, but it's just still, I mean, people, if they're going to choose a company between you and they see a lower rating on, I mean, 5 stars are awesome, but nobody's a 5-star. You're always going to you're going to have a mess up here and there. Mine was down to 3.7. I wasn't focused on it at all. So it's one of the things to where now I think we're up to a 3.9. But if they're looking at the Google ratings and you're comparable between two companies, one's got a 4.5 and I'm sitting at a 3.9, they're probably going to go 4.5 without even reading the reviews. You know what I mean?
right. But again, that's just the different generation. I'm still in the yellow pages.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I deal with a lot of older clients.
I don't know if we went over that in one of the podcasts, but I want to do cliff notes on this because this, I just want to show you how old school Ron is. So Ron buys a company down in the area that he's at. The guy's still using the logo on commercial side, and he kind of messed with Ron a little bit here on a house or two. So Ron, in exchange, took the same logo that he's using, put his ad above his, and made that logo bigger. It's the most classic old school troll that you could ever do. It's hilarious.
Well, you know, I
Your
bought
phone
the
number's
business
bigger.
And, yeah.
Your logo's bigger.
Size does matter.
Yes. So out of all the 380-year-olds that are still looking at the phone book, Ron wins.
I've been dealt with more than 3.
No, I'm just
4 or 5.
It's just an old school. But I mean, it does help you in your analytics and stuff like that down there in the area. As far as web searches go, being with the yellow pages, they've always helped you.
I don't even know if they have the web down there. I think they're. I'm not even for sure if half of them have indoor plumbing, but so they might not. When you say web down there, they look up in the corner. It's like, oh, spider web. But no.
Old school chili coffee.
So,
Okay, now that we've pissed off all our clientele.
no, that's newer.
So what's your week look like getting into vacation?
Chaotic, to tell you the truth. Yeah, it's like every vacation, you always think, I got 2 or 3 months to get ready for it.
Never.
And it's like everything just, I'm putting out so many fires this week that it's not even funny. Where I decided to park the camper through the winter, but we had a pretty bad storm wind-wise, and a big branch, probably, I'd say 4-inch in diameter, just came down and speared right through the roof, right through the ceiling. We had the adjuster out yesterday taking pictures and everything, whether or not they're going to total the camper, because in a situation like that, you should peel off the whole roof.
I can't believe they're going to total it. It's like almost brand new.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It's
expensive by the
crazy.
time you pull off all the air conditioner units and everything.
Well, it's just the cost of labor, the cost of parts now. I mean, it's just crazy, dude.
You know what's bad is we haven't even spent our first night in it. I mean,
Yeah, they're going to total it, fix that roof, and resell it.
yeah,
They're going to buy it at you for a discount, slap that roof on and sell it.
Well, I mean, if they total it, they'd have to pay it off.
Yeah.
So you got that fire going. You got, my daughter decided to take a vacation the week that I'm leaving on vacation, and she does office cleaning for me. So not only do I have to, this particular week going into it, I have to do windows all day long. Now I have to turn around and do offices
Oh,
at
man,
night.
I put somebody, I'd see who wants some extra money. Say, hey, you want to go do that? I mean, you got all these office cleaners, let them deal with the vacations. You shouldn't have to deal with them.
Well,
I mean, it is, especially in season.
Well, what's funny is with the offices, they're so spread out, and we're in rural central Ohio, and it's just logistically, that one is so far off the grid that somebody
it's
from
off
this
the grid
side-
for you too, though.
No, actually, it's 7 miles away from my house.
Oh, I'm thinking the other one.
You're thinking that,
yeah.
But it's like logistically, it's a nightmare, and
Yeah.
that's when I first got that contract, they're like, "Well, try to do them all yourself. Don't hire anybody." And I'm like, "There's no way I can go from that side of Ohio to that side of Ohio in the same night."
That just make you a full-time employee with them then at that point.
Yeah, and I did that for about 7 years. I think the longest I worked is probably a year and a half without a day off.
I don't know how you did it there for a long time, especially as you're getting into residential.
Yeah.
You know, I get it with the commercial and the mindset of the timeliness, but I mean, you see different things every day with residential. It's not the same day.
Yeah, I mean, I like that triple track that I was telling you about. The third house of the season, it's like my fingertips is
Dude,
just numb.
mine
I
hurt.
mean, I couldn't even feel them at the end of the day. I think for 2 days after that, I
I
still
can't even
couldn't
tell you
feel
how
them.
bad mine hurt right now. That's
Yeah.
one of the things. My whole body aches.
So that's why I'm still a little bit jealous of Craig. I went home that night after talking with Craig about how he has his own massage table and his wife gives him a massage. And I told my wife this story, and she's like, "Nope, not happening." She goes, "You could buy the table, but it's you giving me a massage." And I'm like,
Hey, you're allowed to go to the massage parlor, but you got to have a dude do it. You can't have the girl do it.
I've not thought about that, but it's just I don't know. You get beat up after the first week or two, and
Yeah.
you're already thinking, "Man, I need something."
It just goes away. I mean, we're whining because it was the first week. It goes away. Two weeks from now, we'll be fine. You'll be streamlined. You won't have the aches and pains like we do right now. We're just coming out of the winter.
Well, it's funny because back in my 30s, I used to work pretty hard.
Yeah.
And, the next day I just recovered super fast.
Man, getting you those winters off though, that spoiled you. I mean, because you've never ever taken time off unless you got hurt
Right.
and were forced to. You know what I mean?
Well, what's interesting is I'd say this is my second year maybe.
This is first full year. Well, last year was a surgery. You didn't have a choice. You were in ICU.
Yeah.
Yeah. That wasn't any fun.
When they basically chain you to a bed.
That wasn't fun.
But okay, so it's my second year, but I'd say that was my hardest thing of having to delegate stuff to other people. I mean, you take your company, your baby that you've built up from nothing, and you're used to working 18, 19 hours a day and basically going home, getting showered, change of clothes, something to eat, and going right back in.
Right.
And you give this baby all your different accounts and you start delegating them to different subcontractors or different employees, and it's hard to let go. And I took the winter off, and I didn't do windows, I didn't do office cleaning, but then I got stuck with taking care of my mother-in-law who has Alzheimer's and dementia, and like having another kid.
Yeah.
And, I just refer to that as Groundhog Day. It got pretty bad.
Like, let me get back to work.
I was like, hey, please let it snow so I can go out and shovel the driveway or something.
Yeah.
I think we only got like 2 snows
It hasn't
for it.
snowed here. No, we don't. We're not getting any. I mean, back in '80s, we got so much more snow than we got now.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, in 78, we had the blizzard of 77, 78.
I was 3.
Well, it's basically we're in a 1-story high school at the time.
Yeah.
And it's like the high school was gone. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how much snow we had. And I tell my wife stories about that. And I moved her up from Florida.
Right.
So the kids was kind of excited to see snow and everything. And the first time it sputtered a little bit of snow, the kids was all excited and everything. The rest of the winter, we got nothing. They just looked at me like, you got how much snow? And it's just...
Do you ever think there'd be a time that we're all sitting here talking about moving to the same place that you already lived? You know, because you didn't enjoy Florida when you were down there. Now, I mean, you never enjoyed it like the way we're enjoying it now. You know what I mean? Because you went down there to live at first as a kid, 20s.
I was like 18, 19 years old.
Yeah.
And, I was with a construction company that we traveled all over Florida building shopping centers. That was interesting. But after I left that job, and because my wife hated me being on the road, I mean, we'd be in one town for a week, we'd be in one town for a month,
Right.
and just pack our bags and go when the job was done, we just moved to the next town. She hated it.
Right.
So she had me come back and just try to work in town. And it was almost impossible to find a local job. I think I started driving a beer truck down there for Miller.
Yeah, I would not want that job
And
down there.
I was literally working about 95 hours a week for less than $200.
Isn't that amazing?
Because, I mean, if it was Budweiser, it would have been different. But with Miller, I'd take one case and they're like, no, we don't need that. And as a Budweiser guy, I was like backing up a semi and taking like 300 cases.
That's different. The distributors here, it's like Budweiser. And then you got all the rest are all another company. Like Brown's is all Miller, Coors,
Right.
Corona, all that. They have to do all that just to compete with. And Moteska's got that nice big building with the Budweiser. You know what I mean?
Well, it's different because I see guys up here driving truck now, and back in the day, down in Florida, you had to build displays, you had to price beer, you had to stock the coolers, and it was funny because it was just a fight. If you took a 6-pack and you turned it sideways, it gave you 3 facings, while
Right.
your competitors like Budweiser would come in and turn your product endways, and you'd only have 2 facings, and they'd have more cooler space.
The drama
And
of the beer drivers, man.
It was a nightmare, just trying to get your little niche there in the cooler space. But it was interesting.
So, what are you going to do when you get down to Outer Banks? You just going to chill or what?
The wife, she's into kayaking and stuff. I've still yet to find the motor and the throttle on the kayak, but
You are the motor and thought. I'm telling you, man, we need to get those for the lake here. I think that'd be awesome. I mean, paddle bar to bar, that'd be amazing.
I think you'd still get a DUI.
I just
and a
throw a
kayak.
6-pack and put it on your fishing line down there and just kind of bring that with you.
It tastes a little fishy
Yeah.
when you brought it up.
Keep it down all the way at the bottom so it stays cool.
But the bad thing was in Buckeye Lake, I think back in the 40s and 50s, you didn't hear people talking about having like sewer systems or leach
Right.
beds. It just basically went out into the lake. So, I mean, that was just a community cesspool out there.
It's going to be, but I mean, they redid it. It looks amazing.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They dredged a lot.
Now we can't do anything.
No.
You can't buy anything here. You can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I can't believe in just a matter of time how quick it just changed everything.
Well, it
It's going to be a nice community, though.
seems like everywhere, anywhere near the water, wherever you are, whether it's
Yeah.
Florida, whether it's here, it doesn't matter.
Well, the great thing about Florida is you can, move anywhere and you're not far from water,
Yeah.
At least ocean. I mean, we're all talking about going. We're 10 minutes from the ocean, 15 minutes from the ocean every day.
Yeah, but, going back in our story, when I first went down there and when I was 18, 19 years old, I didn't have the knowledge that I did now. And my brother-in-law, who actually put me into window cleaning, came to visit me. And I begged him, I'm like, what's the secret sauce that you put in your water? And he wouldn't tell me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he did not want me to
It was
know.
a different time. Now you can go on YouTube and find out everything you want.
You didn't have anything like this
Yeah.
back then. And, so I went down there, and had I had that knowledge, I don't know. It might be a different story. I mean,
Right.
Because I could have
Well,
built.
even talking to Tanner for all that time, I mean, it's a whole different beast down there. Like, they don't mess around. If you mess with one of their accounts, they're going to beat your ass. It's
not
a
feed you to
no.
gators.
Well, they got also, they got a lot of New Yorkers down there. Everybody retires down there. I mean, the price. I don't think. I mean, even my aunt, she charges $8 a window down there for the residential.
What's funny is everywhere we travel to, the first thing I do is I pick up the yellow
Yep.
pages, and I'm like,
It's
I want to
always
see.
fish.
I always want to see the competition.
There's
the
always
area.
a fish franchise.
Well, I think in Florida, I think they dedicate like their own phone book just to window cleaners.
Yeah,
Because there's that many window
that's
cleaners
crazy,
in
dude.
Florida.
I mean, everything would get dirty because there's salt in the air everywhere. The wind's amazing down there.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter where you are in the United States. The different people that I talk to, it's like everybody's like, I hate the cold, I hate the snow. We're going to Florida to clean windows, and I'm not talking just one
Right.
person. I'm talking hundreds of people.
Right.
They're like, we're going to Florida because it's nice and warm.
We got this nice little area here, dude. I mean, we really do. I think we're probably a lot different than a lot of other people in the country. I mean, as far as we're just building like crazy. I mean, it's booming here. We're gonna double in size. The houses are perfect window count.
Well, no matter where you go, there's such a housing shortage here that it's just nonstop. The contractors are just building so
Right.
fast and so hard,
Right.
and I think that's the difference between Florida and Ohio is that there's a lot of like industries here in Ohio that it seems to me like down in Florida people lives on a controlled income, whether it's their retirement money or whatever, and they can't afford the luxury service
Right.
of window cleaning. But here it's like you have a lot of young professional couples, and
There's so many $1 million homes in Columbus now.
they're just throwing money at you like crazy.
Everything they're building up in the north end is like, I mean, you can't get into a community for under $1 million.
Oh yeah.
I've never seen anything.
Have you
like
seen
it.
the freestanding condos yet?
I do them all kinds of them. Yeah.
I'm
They're usually 55 and up communities in New Albany. They got a lot of them. They've got 55 and up brand new apartments in Dublin, $1,500 a month.
Right.
And they're retro, gorgeous looking apartments, but you have to be 55 to get in there. That's because everybody's selling their home in Dublin, but want to be so close to their kids. So they're making all that profit from when they bought their home in Muirfield back in the 80s.
Right.
And now they're recouping all that money. And they're spending $1,500 a month in rent.
Well, what's funny is no matter where you go, you have your little pop-up villages.
Yeah.
You know, like you just said, Muirfield, back in the 80s, that was huge.
Right.
Then it was like,
Still huge.
what is it, Easton?
Yeah, Easton. Well, New Albany's it now.
New Albany.
Yeah. Well, Powell.
Yeah. I mean, just different areas is just popping, and it seems like they hit that area for a decade, and then everybody sells and moves on, and that's your old area.
But I mean, it's just getting so. Well, I mean, like it's not like we live in a good sized community. I mean, there's 2.3 million people in our area or something like that. But I mean, it's not. It's still not hard to get around. It's not like one of the big cities like New York or.
But it's coming.
Maybe.
Because have you noticed Pataskala?
Yeah.
All the different, the Amazon distribution, they got Kohl's distribution.
Well, they got to redo 70.
Well, I mean, all these different distributors is coming right there and making that their hub.
Yeah.
Well, you bring all these workers in there, you're going to have housing. You're going to have better roads.
Right.
You know, you got Pataskala having 2 lanes in and 2 lanes out. Well, that's a 2 lane all the way through, isn't it?
No, it's only 2 lane all the way. They're actually going to make it 3 all the way down past you, where it goes to 3 down by 13. So they're going 13 all the way up to Pickerington and making it 3 lanes.
You're going to have to, because
It's going to be nuts trying to go down 70.
You know, when you infuse that many more workers into the area, I mean, we're going to be like L.A. here for too long here in Licking County, and we're going to have like a 4-hour commute to go 5 miles down the road.
It's just, I mean, even that Intel scam that they're doing now, where they're bringing Intel into New Albany and saying it's a Licking County business, the government gave them $2.5 billion to move here.
Wow.
You know what I mean? How's that going to benefit any of us? You're going to bring in so in order to be middle class now, it's $100,000, right?
Easy.
That's low end. That's just a report that came out.
Right.
That means you now have to make $48.08 an hour for 2,080 hours a year or whatever that it is that you work a year. So at $48.08 an hour is now middle class.
Yeah, but look at out in California, you got people making 6-figure out there that can't afford housing. They're living in the streets in a tent.
Well, for a house in the ghetto, it's $500,000 out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's crazy. But I mean, they're bringing, our government is spending $2.5 billion to bring in a company that's paying half of what it is to be middle class.
Right.
It doesn't make sense. The money's just not there, and they're running the water. So the toxicity from the water has to run through from northwest side of Columbus all the way to the southeast or southwest. So it's got to go all the way down to the wastewater plant down by Grove City. So that means every water distributor that gets their water, like Niagara Water is huge. They do all the bottled water for like Walmart and stuff. It's all their product in that Walmart area.
Right.
So now you're running wastewater through those cities. If you get a leak and it goes into that water, then it's getting in. It's just a mess, dude. They don't think this stuff through.
Well, not only that, but you know, even like, you know, we're all talking about moving to Florida.
Right.
When we was down there for spring break, the cost of living is just so outrageous down there that you know.
They say that. They say that. I've heard that nothing but that's a spin right now. They're trying to make that governor look bad. I can tell you right now, dude, I can't buy a house here for $300,000. And the only way I can buy a house here for $300,000 is if I have $65,000 liquid that I can give the homeowner so I can buy a $300,000. So it's going to cost me $365,000 here to buy a $300,000 house, which is probably 40 years old. Down there, I can buy a brand new home on a 1/4-acre lot with a pool for $385, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's only like, what, 700 square feet?
No, it's like a 2,000 square foot home.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's a narrative that's being spun to make their government look bad down there because they're doing everything for freedom right now.
I must have been looking in the wrong places because everywhere I looked, anywhere
That's
on the water.
Palm Bay, Melbourne area is where I've been looking.
Well,
So
we was looking on the Gulf side, and you're
Yeah.
looking at.
well, I'm looking to where they don't vacation. I'm looking to where real Floridians live. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
anytime you go where they vacation, it's going to be more expensive.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And you lived in that area, so you know it's not. I mean, I guess where you lived at Merritt Island, that's becoming a hot spot. That's because it's right by Cocoa Beach and stuff like that,
Right.
and that's high end homes now too.
But when we was just down there, it was interesting because my wife never wanted to go back to that area because it's not what she remembered.
Right.
It's like the main strips that go through Merritt Island, Cocoa Beach. They have changed some and commercialized, but we was able to get. Our son was kind enough to watch our mother-in-law for the day, and we did a little bit of exploring for a few hours. And when you get off the main drag and you go on the little back roads, it's still the same old Florida that
Yeah.
from the 70s and 80s.
Right.
But,
Now, did that spark me at all when she was down there? Did any of her did you see any of her old self when she seen her stuff?
She hated every minute of it.
Really?
I mean, if she saw somebody in a long one-piece bathing suit, I mean, she would call them all kinds of names.
Wow.
I mean, it was like
I figured that would trigger something in her or something.
she hated the boat rage. She hated everything about it.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah.
That's too bad.
And we was held up there in a hotel room for, I think, 4 days, 5 days. I forget now.
How old is she now? She got to be 96, 94?
And dog years, that's like over 700.
Yeah, but is she's up there, right?
She's, I believe, 91, 92.
Oh, she's that young. I
Yeah.
thought she was older than that. Oh, they've been old since I've known them. That's how long. I mean, they literally been old since I've known them.
Well, what's funny is I reflect back a little bit on my life, and I'm like, how old was Grandpa when I first met my wife?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he was old. I just know he was old when I first met my wife. Then I realized he was my age. And I'm like,
Well, I mean,
I'm not that old.
it's been 32 years that I've known you and I have been around each other or hung out with each other.
Has it been that
It's
long?
32 years.
It seems like forever.
So, I mean, Chet and B were both, I mean, especially to me, I mean, I was 15, 16 years old at the time. I mean, they're definitely old at that point. I mean, they're probably in their, 60s or late 50s, at that point.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we've been in our house now for 22 years.
Yeah.
We was at the lake house for,
Did they live on 9th Avenue?
they did
They
for
did.
just like a year
Yeah,
or so.
before you guys got out there to the lake.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been rough. That house is small.
Oh,
dude.
that was miserable. And then when we went to the lake house, that house was huge.
Right.
And we kind of split that up a little bit to where they had their whole wing, and
Yeah.
the rest, the other 50 of us lived on one side, and they lived, the two of them lived on that side. But
Yeah, those are good times back
Yeah.
then, man.
But it was funny because that house there on the lake, it was like my sister-in-law felt hard on times, and they moved in with us, and they had 3 kids, but
Yeah.
they also had 3 kids from a previous. So one time in that house, we had 6 adults and 13 kids.
Nobody's moved down there yet, right? Ian hasn't moved back,
No.
and Sonny's still up here.
Everybody's
And
still here in
Kieran and
Central
Nick are
Ohio.
still doing good. Wow, man.
Yeah.
That's great. I can't believe nobody's moved to Florida yet.
Everybody's talking about it.
Everybody but you is from Florida, but nobody's moving back yet.
I brought all Florida back here.
All right, which is wild. You'd think after the first couple winters, they'd be like, I'm out, dude. Sorry.
Well, it's funny because every now and then they're like, it's your fault that we're seeing snow. And I'm like, yeah, you can get in your car and leave
My
anytime
aunt
you want.
flies up here to see snow, but she wants to get back on the plane within 4 days. She wants to come see it, enjoy it, bye. But
Yeah.
I've got my cousin down there. He came up one time when he's 15 years old, refuses to go any further. He won't come back up here at all. He goes, why would I come up there when I can vacation here?
Yeah.
So we're going to go down there this year and vacation with them down at Captiva Island or something like that.
Over by Sanibel. What's
Yeah.
funny is my wife, she got fired as our vacation advisor.
Why? She kept taking him to the same
Well,
place, didn't she?
No, we went to Seven Springs. We went to Seven Springs with my son and his wife, and we don't ski, so we just kind of sat around the resort while they skied and snowboarded.
Where was
and
that
stuff
at?
like Seven Springs.
Yeah.
It was right next door to Six Springs. Duh.
Is that Ohio or
Pennsylvania.
PA?
PA.
Yeah.
But it's like,
So you went to real mountains.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they went there specifically to snowboard
Yeah.
and stuff. But what was interesting is she took us from Central Ohio, which was cold. I think it was for Valentine's Day. We left cold to go colder at the snow at Seven Springs. Well, I think it was 3 years ago that she scheduled us in Sanibel in August, and I've never sat in a swimming pool up to my neck and water and sweat's just pouring off me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why would I leave somewhere hot and go somewhere hot?
I enjoy that though.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Oh,
I do.
man.
I like going down there and just feel, because when you come back, because the sun's a lot hotter down there than it is here. I mean, it can be 82 here, but that down there, that sun is just fire, dude.
Yeah, but what's interesting is when we did live down there, when we come home to visit everybody, my family would say, I thought you'd be tanner. I'm like, oh, not Mark. I'm talking about color of skin.
Yeah.
But it's like, we don't set out in the sun. We basically race from one air conditioner to the next.
Yeah.
And, but it was kind of cool in the wintertime to be able to call family up here and we'll be sitting by the pool or whatever. And they'd be like, yeah, we haven't had electric for 3 days because the blizzard came through and knocked out all our electric. And I'm like, well, it sucks to be you, but I'm having a cocktail by the pool right now. And so that was
I'll
kind
bring
of cool.
I'll bring Alita up here and she'll be like, and in the middle of dead summer, she'll come up here and be freezing in my house because they keep their air conditioner down there like 75, 76. And ours is like 60 or 68 to 70, you know?
But you know something? I went down there back when I was 19, 20 years old, and I went down there thinking it never got cold in Florida.
Yeah.
Well, I went down there with shorts and T-shirts and stuff like that, and I tell you what, the first, I think January, I was down at the Z Mart or K Mart or whatever the heck it was down there, and I was buying some winter clothes because we lived right on the river, and it got cold.
Man, I like those
Not
rivers
for
down
that
there.
long,
I do
maybe.
like the rivers down there. They got dolphins and sharks in them and stuff, and manatees. They're a lot different than the rivers here.
Well, what's funny is my father-in-law always told me from the Banana River to the Indian River, he could have bought, back in the 60s when they went down there, he could have bought land for a couple $100 an
It's
acre.
still not built up unless you're near the cities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not as built up as it could be, and it'll end up getting there. You can see it. It's starting now.
I mean, even the Cocoa Beach area. I mean, they brought all the cruise lines in there now. That's where all the fish houses used to be.
Yeah.
So I mean, to sit there and look where my father-in-law used to work, and now there's big cruise ships there.
I love Cocoa Beach. I love the pier. I love that bar out on the end of it.
Yeah.
But it's 55 minutes from my aunt's house. And we went there. We're like, let's go to Cocoa Beach one night when we were drinking. And they decided to take the Jeep top off and stuff like that. So it was great going there. But by the time you get back, it's after dark. It's like 50 degrees. You're freezing the whole time on the way back. They got the heat cranked. They're like 55 minutes is way too long for that.
What's funny is when we went down to Sandbell, my wife had made all the arrangements. She got the plane, she got the condos, she made arrangements for the rental car. Well, when they pulled the rental car around, it was, I don't know, it was like a little Ford Festiva. And I'm like, you know what? I'm down here for a week. I'm not going to drive. And there's nothing wrong with little Ford Festivas, but I'm on vacation. So, I work hard, I play harder. And so I upgraded us to a convertible Mustang.
Yeah.
And with how hot it was, we took the top off, and it's like, put the top back on.
Dude.
Turn the air on.
So I get picked up at the airport in a black Mustang convertible every time.
Really?
Yeah,
See?
that's what my aunt owns. But we're in a Jeep when we're down there. That way we can put the bikini top down and stuff like that.
Well, my wife, she knows me as a jokester, and I came out of the condo one day, and I'm like, we going to drive with top on or top off? Well, I look over, and she's got no shirt on, and I'm like, yeah, that's not the top I was talking about. But I'm like, okay, if you want to drive around like that.
Yeah.
But,
Hey, you're on vacation. Why not?
a lot happens in Florida stays in Florida.
So you got 1 week until vacation. Man, is it going to be busy down there, or is it still before season?
It's the start of their season down there, so it's going to be a little bit busier.
Dude, I even priced out Myrtle Beach for the weekend. It's outrageous. Outrageous.
Well, what's interesting is when we go on vacation, it's almost not like having a vacation when it's just my wife and myself, because she forces me to take the dogs.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the whole. You get to sleep in a little bit on
Dude,
vacation.
I'm gonna call you out on this because last time you guys went on vacation together, right after because you guys couldn't go on, you were all in love for a few days after you got back. You know, like all lovey on your. You know what I mean? It was a good thing for you guys to go alone, and I think this is gonna do the same thing.
Well, you think about it. You know, we've been married for 35 years, and
Right.
you know, she you know, she's always lived with her mom and dad, or she's always had kids, and you know, she had 2 kids when I met her. So we never really had a honeymoon
Yeah.
until that Sanibel vacation. I think it was like that was our
I've
28th.
never seen you guys do so many excursions. Then I mean, there was pictures every day of you guys just going out having a ball, dude.
Well, I mean, you have to. I mean, that's what life's all about.
Yeah.
I'd say in my early years, it was all about building a business. So I never took vacation as the kids was little. And now that I'm getting older, I'm like, man, you got to enjoy life while
Yeah,
it's there.
I like seeing it though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even as you guys get older, there's still that connection. You know,
Just think one day, your kids will be grown up and moved out, and you and Leah can
she'll
go
stab
out.
me.
Oh,
Yeah,
right in
she
the
ain't
heart.
gonna. She ain't gonna keep me around, dude.
Yeah.
She'd be like, "Hey, thanks for helping raise them. See ya."
Yeah. But I mean, you still got another 15 years?
Yeah. No, Benny's 8, so 13.
Well, you think
13?
about this. Our oldest.
I don't even know. No, 8. He got 10. Dude, I can't even count right. Hey, Hannah will be 18 in next March.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
But you got to remember, our oldest didn't move out until she was 39.
Oh, she's ready. She's got 3 jobs, saving money. She goes, I can't wait to get out of this funny farm.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny as a kid because you always think, I can't wait to get out. Just I hate being with my
Right.
parents. And then after about a year or two of paying bills, it's like, Dad, can I move back
Oh,
in?
she pays for her car payment, but she got a phone. She wanted an iPhone 13. She had an iPhone 10, you know. She's
Yeah.
on my plan. So I paid for the bill, but she wanted this 13, so she got on her own plan. Now it's like she thought she was paying 70 with all the taxes and stuff. It's like 112, flipping out.
Yeah.
Flipping out. Like, welcome to the real world, you know? I don't know what to tell you. You had it easy staying on Dad's plan. I don't know why you needed to go up 3 for the iPhone or whatever, but
Well, what's funny is I think with my kids, I didn't even realize it was just my wife was taking care of the bills. And I didn't even notice it. I think we was paying for their car insurance until they was like 25 or 30 years old. I'm like, why is our insurance so expensive? And it's like, well, we have 15 cars. And I'm like, we only have 3. They're like, no, all your kids and I think the neighbors and, all your aunts and
dogs.
Dogs.
Hannah jacked ours up over $200 a month. But she literally the day she turns 18, next March, her and I are going to the car lot, and we're trading in her car. She wants to get a different car already. So
Wow, she just got this one, didn't
yeah,
she?
but she's like, I want a different car. She's already seen something she wants, so I'm gonna go and just co-sign on it. And then she's on her own insurance.
Wow.
She's off my insurance. I don't have to worry about it. So I'm counting down the days, dude. I can't wait because then Luke's going to be out at 18 no matter what because he's just not going to deal with me. You know what I mean? There's rules at the house and he's just not wanting to do the rules.
Well, what's funny about your kids being on your policy on your insurance is I think it was my daughter's second day of driving by herself, and she called me up, and she literally had just went maybe 200 yards out of my driveway. And she called me up and she goes, Dad, I got in a wreck. And I'm like, how does that happen when we live in town? You couldn't have been going 25 mile an hour.
Right.
Well, evidently she got in a wreck and she hit the car in front of her hard enough to knock it into the next car, which knocked it into the next car.
So
I had
everybody's got injuries.
And it happened right in front of my insurance agent. Yeah. I mean, it was right in front of their building. And I'm like, so my agent knew about the wreck before.
Oh, if Hannah got in an accident and jacks up my insurance name, oh my goodness, what I would do. Nah, I mean, literally, I had my insurance down just for Leah and I for our vehicles, $89 a month. Full coverage, all that goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, she jacked it up. It's $299 now.
Well, what's funny is when they start paying their own bills and everything, it's kind of like the dynamic of having your family working with you. It's like my youngest son works with me right now, and it's like he'll take a very expensive my zero pole, my carbon fiber pole, and he just kind of throws it in the truck like a spear, and it's like, I'm like, don't do that. I'm like, you need to place it in the truck. Don't just throw it in the truck. Well, he's thrown it in so many times that he's popped off a couple of them, the wings that you lock the pole in.
Which, hey, speaking of which, if anybody from over there is watching, I can't find a place to order those at.
The clamps.
The clamps. I need a clamp for one of my 2.0 poles.
Huh.
So, and you need a clamp for what? I thought Craig took it, right?
Well, Craig said, yeah, I'll mail you one. Not a big deal, but kind of hard to mail me one when he didn't even take my address. So,
it's out there, I promise you.
Yeah, but I think I just need the little flipper thing that locks it in. I don't need the whole clamp. It's just the lock. But it's like,
I looked on the website this weekend because I did a couple orders this weekend.
But what's funny is it's like he's forgot to tie on a couple ladders on the truck. And, you know, my last truck was my GMC dually.
Yeah.
And I was going around the corner and the ladders just kind of fell off, hit the fender, put a dent the size of your fist in my fender. And I'm like, look at my truck. And he goes, well, it's just a work truck. And I'm like, it's a very expensive work truck.
And that's the attitude I had to take for my truck. It's just a work truck. Because it's going to get scratched. And Joey's going to do something that's just going to tick me off to no end. So I got to think of it as I'm getting a write-off on this every year. You know, I get to take the interest charges off every year on top of the mileage.
I don't care. There's no debating this. I still like to have a nice truck.
I do like to have a nice truck, and I like it when the customers are impressed. But it's I just got to. No, I get it. The responsibility of our kids is not there.
Well, it's like even having that professional looking image when you show up to a customer's house. I went out and I bought brand new shirts. And my youngest son said, I'm going to take them home and wash them before I wear them. He shows up the next day. It has no sleeves. He cut a V down it and he crop topped it. And I'm like, why did I even bother? But it's like my oldest son, he used to be a skater. So I'd be down the I sat on the Little League board, the committee down there, and I had and down in that area is where the skate park used to be, and people would always come up to me and they're like, why is your company shirts or company sweatshirts or jackets down there like shoved under the skate ramps? And I'm like, that was probably my son Chase. He was down there skating and probably got hot and just kind of left it down there. And I'm like, man. But it's funny how when they buy stuff, that's like gold.
Oh, and Joey got a car. You know, he bought him a new car. His car's pristine, boy. Yeah. But you go to my truck, and I can show you all his fast food wrappers and all that. My sleeves usually stay on my shirt until it gets too hot. Then I just take the razor blade to them and go, and they're gone. I Kevin Hargis it at that point. So it's Kevin Hargis is the guy in Into the Flow that never has sleeves. I don't care if it's wintertime, he never has sleeves.
Well, what's interesting is I don't judge people, but a lot of my customers do.
Yeah.
So you know as well as anybody else that I do have tattoos, but they're all under.
Right.
They're not visible.
Right.
And I've actually had customers that has kicked plumbers or painters out of their house because they don't trust them because they have tattoos.
Dude, at this point, and as long as you don't have face tattoos, I think you can get away with anything.
I still have those customers that just, And
you start getting the Post Malone tattoos around your eyes, window cleaner, and then we got some issues. So,
I'm just like, I'm like, yeah, look at that guy with tattoos. As I have tattoos underneath my shirt that they just don't see. So it's just funny.
So this week this is our last taped.
This is our last taped one, and then we're going live from here. So.
Next Tuesday.
Be a whole lot easier on Chase, my son, who's also our producer. I got a shout out to him. He's doing amazing. He does an amazing job for us. He's out here donating his time too until we get going. And so
next week we're hoping to have a guest live.
Next week?
Well, it'll be next week on here. It'll be May 17th, but it's next week on this podcast. I got you all confused, bro.
I don't know if I'm bringing video cameras on.
No, remember, this is actually going to be playing, premiering while you're down on the beach. So, it'll be the week after.
And I have been trying to make a few vlogs And again, that's
We're teaching him.
I think that's why I brought up Chase for it, because for years he's always had his arm out and he's always had a camera in. That's
You
harder.
didn't learn anything from him, did you?
Not a thing. But I don't think he learned anything from me either. So touche.
All right, guys. Hey, this is a conversation. Like we said, this is the way we wanted it. We just wanted to sit here and talk. So until next week, hope to see you guys live. Love to see you guys in the conversation next week. And until then, we'll talk to you. I'm Tim Huber, Ron Hughes. See you guys.
Peace.